Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Like I said in my last video, today I'm going to show you my current HUD in Call of Duty Mobile. I play using a 5-finger layout, but the cool thing is that this setup can actually work really well even if you only use 4 fingers. The 5th finger in my case is just a small extra, but honestly it's not 100% necessary, so don't worry if you're not there yet. This HUD is pretty versatile, and in this video I'll explain how I build it, how it helps me, and maybe give you some tips to improve your own setup. So let me tell you a bit about how I get here. I started playing Call of Duty Mobile back in 2021, maybe even a little earlier, but I wasn't playing that seriously at first. This was actually the first shooter I ever played on mobile, so I didn't really have much experience at all. Like a lot of players, I began with just 2 thumbs. It was simple and at the time it worked fine, but the more I played, the more I started getting used to the game and I wanted to improve. So I added a 3rd finger. Now here's my advice. If you want to switch to using more fingers, do it one step at a time. Don't go from 2 to 4 or 5 all at once, because trust me, even going from 2 to 3 fingers takes some time to get used to, and if you try to jump straight to 4 or 5, it can feel overwhelming. You'll need to coordinate multiple new fingers at once, and that might slow down your progress. So take it easy, move up one finger at a time, get comfortable with it, and once it feels natural, then you can move on to the next level. In my case, I went from 2 to 3, then later to 4, and now I play with 5 fingers. But to be honest, even today I don't really need that 5 finger. I could easily switch back to 4 and still play just fine, but the only reason I stick with 5 is because I've been using this HUD for a long time and I am already comfortable with it, so for me, changing now will just be unnecessary. Now let's talk about my HUD and why playing with more fingers actually makes a difference. So the goal with 4-finger or 5-finger HUD, it's pretty simple. You want to be able to do multiple things at the same time, like move your character, move your camera, aim, shoot, slide or run. If you can do at least 4 of these actions at once, you already have a solid setup. Now let me explain why that's important. In a 1v1 situation, especially in multiplayer, every millisecond counts. Having a HUD with more fingers gives you extra mobility and control, and that can be the edge between winning and losing. For example, once you get 4 fingers, you can separate your aim and fire buttons. By default, the game gives you a single button that aims and fires, but that means your weapon won't shoot after the scope fully opens. If you split the buttons, you can start shooting before your ADS is full open, which gives you a bullet or 2 of advantage, especially at close range. And that really matters because some weapons can kill in just 3 shots. So landing that first shot before your opponent even sees you properly can make all the difference. At long range, a 4+ finger setup helps you strafe while keeping your aim on the enemy. You can be moving, aiming and shooting all at once, while your opponent, who can't do that, will likely miss more shots. So yes, it's a real advantage. Alright, so now I want to show you my HUD setup. In case you are curious or maybe you want to try something different, feel free to copy it, change it or use it as inspiration. This is just what works for me and maybe it helped you too. Now, starting with my left hand, I move with my thumbs using the joystick. Above that, at the very top left corner, I have my aim button. I press it with my left index finger. A little lower and slightly to the right, I have my jump button, and in between those two, I place the quick weapon switch button, which I highly recommend using. It's not enabled by default, so you need to turn it on settings. It's super useful, especially if you play with snipers or like to swap weapons fast. Now, on my right hand, the bottom area of the screen is completely empty. I use that space to move the camera with my thumb, so I don't want any buttons there. At the top right, I shoot with my middle finger, and that's the only thing I do with that finger, which is why this setup is considered 5 finger. Then, with my right index finger, I do the rest. Just below the shoot button, a little to the left, is my slide button. Above that and to the left is my reload button, and right around the middle of the screen I have my operator skill button. All the other stuff like score streaks or emotes, I left them where they feel comfortable for me, but honestly you can place them wherever works best for you. Now let's talk about devices and why I personally use a 5-finger HUD. Like I mentioned in my first video, I used to play on iPad for a few months. It wasn't for too long, but it gave me a different perspective. On tablets, you've got more screen space, which lets you place buttons more comfortably near the edges. But even with all that space, I started to notice something. When I used a 4-finger layout, I couldn't always reach all the buttons with my index fingers, especially on the right side, like the slide or reload buttons. So I added a 5th finger, my right middle finger, and that changed everything. With it, I can always shoot with the middle finger while my index reaches other important buttons more easily. That's why I still use a 5-finger HUD to this day. Even though I could technically use 4 fingers on my phone, I'm just too used to this layout and it works for me. And now let's talk about tips. If you play on a tablet, my advice is to make your buttons a bit larger. There's plenty of space and it won't block your screen. But if you are on a phone like me, things are different. Here's what I do. I lower the opacity on most of my buttons to make them nearly invisible. Why? Because once you develop a good muscle memory, you don't need to see the buttons, you just know where they are. This gives you a cleaner screen, better visibility, and honestly, it just feels better. Another tip, I like placing a small button. I use the settings icon right in the center of the screen. It works as a kind of enlarged crosshair. It makes it easier to aim from the hip and gives me a quick visual reference of where I'm pointing. It's a small trick, but it helps, especially with sniper gameplay or close range fights. And finally, one more reason why I stick with 5 fingers is because it lets me do advanced movements like drop shots. Since I shoot with my middle finger and crouch with my index, I can do both actions at the same time, while also aiming with my thumb. I can do both actions at the same time, while also aiming with my thumb. It's smooth, it's quick, and it gives me a small advantage in fast fights. So yep, that's why I call this a 5-finger HUD. It works across devices, gives you more control, and once you are used to it, it just feels natural. So in conclusion, HUDs are extremely personal. What I showed you today is just my layout. It works for me and maybe it works for you too. If you try it and it feels good, awesome, keep it. But of course, feel free to move things around. Everyone has different fingers that feel faster or more comfortable, and it's all about what suits you best. Some people like to move the joystick with the index finger, others prefer aiming with thumbs. There's no perfect HUD. The perfect HUD is the one that fits your playstyle. And hey, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. I really appreciate you. Drop a comment below and let me know how many fingers do you play with. Want a custom HUD for 2 or 3 fingers? I can share some ideas too. I'm always happy to help. And of course, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next upload. Next video is going to be about things that annoy me in COD Mobile. So stay for that. Thanks again for watching. This is Hades, and I'll see you in the next one.